So, when you think about the book of Psalms, what comes to mind? Probably songs, right? Maybe some beautiful ancient poetry for worship? But what if I told you that for centuries, people saw them as a practical, hands-on guide for some of life's most dangerous problems? Yeah, we're about to uncover a side of the Psalms you have likely never seen before.
So let me ask you, what's the real purpose of a psalm? Is it for praise, to work through some sorrow, to find a little comfort? Well, sure, it's all of those things. But historical texts show us a much more direct and, frankly, surprising use for them that might just change how you see the entire book.
You heard that right. According to some ancient texts, a primary use for Psalm 18 was, get this, to make bandits run away. I'm not kidding. This wasn't some metaphor for protecting your soul. It was treated as a literal tool for your own personal safety. And believe me, we're just getting started.
So, for a huge chunk of history, especially in everyday folk traditions, the Psalms weren't just a book of hymns, they were a book of solutions. Think of it like an instruction manual, where saying specific verses, sometimes with a few simple actions, was believed to get you a direct result right here in the physical world. And you know what's really fascinating about all this? Just how accessible it was. We're not talking about some complicated ritual with impossible defined ingredients. Nope. In a world where the spoken word was thought to have real, tangible power, the instructions just called for the most common stuff you could imagine. A little dirt, a cup of water, some basic oils. The real power was always in the words of the Psalms themselves.
I mean, just look at this table. It shows the incredible range of things people use these for. Bandits on the horizon? Recite Psalm 18. Got a friend who's had a bit too much to drink? That's Psalm 37, said over a cup of water. Even for internal battles, like greed, you had Psalm 69. It was basically a complete spiritual and practical toolkit for just about any problem life could throw at you.
But the power of the Psalms goes way deeper than just these external, almost magical uses. There's this other layer, a much more personal one. And this is where we shift from seeing the Psalms as just a tool to seeing them as a mirror to the soul. This was an idea that theologians like Martin Luther really ran with.
Luther's take on this was just so profound. He basically said that no matter what you're going through, temptation, suffering, pure joy, utter despair, you can open up the Psalms and find your exact feelings, expressed perfectly. It's like the words were written just for you, right in that moment you needed the most. So for Luther, the Psalms became this universal book. It wasn't just a random collection of old songs. It was a complete anatomy of the human heart. Every spiritual state, every single emotion, every struggle we have with God and with the world, it's all laid bare. And it gives you not just the words to say, but this deep, powerful sense of companionship. You're not alone in what you feel.
Okay, so this brings us to the absolute peak of this whole idea, the longest and most complex chapter in the entire Bible, Psalm 119. If the book of Psalms is about the human heart's relationship with God, then Psalm 119 is its masterpiece, an epic poem dedicated to the one thing that connects them, the Word itself.
And when I say long, I mean it. This isn't just a long chapter, it's a literary marathon. 176 verses, and it's meticulously structured as an acrostic poem. It has 22 sections, and each one starts with a successive letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So you get 8 verses for Aleph, 8 for Bet, all the way to the end. This incredible feat isn't just for show. It's to symbolize completeness. It's praise from A to Z, leaving nothing out.
And this one verse, verse 11, it really captures the core idea of the whole epic psalm. The goal isn't just to know the word, or even just to recite it for some practical benefit. The goal, which is emphasized by that all-encompassing A to Z structure, is to completely internalize it, to hide it in your heart so that it actually becomes a part of you, shaping how you think and act.
Martin Luther saw this as the central drama of a person's spiritual life. If you embrace the word, like Psalm 119 urges, you get these incredible gifts: joy, peace, deep understanding, confidence even when you're suffering, and the strength to just keep going. But if you neglect it, if you get tired of it, or even start to hate it, well, that leads to spiritual decay. For the author of this psalm, the word isn't just text on a page, it's life itself.
And this incredible intentionality isn't just in one psalm. It seems to be in the architecture of the whole book. As you can see here, the book of Psalms is carefully divided into 5 smaller books, and that structure is almost certainly not an accident. It is believed to intentionally parallel the 5 books of the Torah. This suggests that the Psalms were meant to be a kind of second Torah, not just a book of laws, but a guide to living out those laws with every possible human emotion. So after peeling back all these layers, from folk magic to this deep theological masterpiece, we can really start to see why this ancient book has had such incredible staying power, right? It's because it works on so many different levels all at once.
First, it's a practical tool, like a spiritual first aid kit for your immediate problems. Second, it serves as an emotional mirror, making sure you know you're not alone in your deepest feelings. And finally, it's a theological guide, with Psalm 119 as its crown jewel, celebrating God's word as the ultimate source of life and wisdom.
But in the end, as Luther points out, all of these things, the practical, the emotional, the theological, they all point to one central message that you can feel humming through the entire collection. And it's a message of profound, unshakable hope, even when life is chaotic.
So the Psalms are a tool, a mirror, and a guide. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other hidden dimensions, what other secret lives are waiting to be found in the stories and texts we think we already know so well?